There was once a couple named Emma and Jack. They had everything they ever wanted, a beautiful house, nice cars, and a wonderful life together. But there was one thing missing. They didn't have a baby, and they desperately wanted one. After many months of trying, they decided to use a surrogate to have the child they had dreamed of. They found a kind woman named Maria, who was willing to help them. Maria was a gentle soul, always caring for others. She had her own family but wanted to help a couple who needed her. Emma and Jack were excited when they learned that Maria was pregnant with their baby. They couldn't wait to meet their little one. As the months passed, Emma and Jack prepared for the arrival of their baby. They painted the nursery, bought clothes, and even picked out the name Lucy for their daughter. They dreamed of a perfect life, imagining their little girl growing up happy and healthy. But not everything went as they had planned. One day, Emma and Jack received a phone call from the hospital. Maria had gone into labor early, and they needed to come right away. Emma's heart raced. This was the moment they had waited for. When they arrived at the hospital, Maria was in pain but still smiling. She handed them a tiny bundle wrapped in a soft blue blanket. Emma's heart swelled with love. She looked down at the baby, expecting to see her perfect daughter. But as she unwrapped the blanket, her smile faded. Lucy's tiny face was covered in red marks, and her eyes seemed to be cloudy. Something wasn't right. The doctors told Emma and Jack that the baby had a condition that would affect her for the rest of her life. Emma felt a wave of shock. This wasn't the baby they had imagined. Jack stood quietly, his face pale. He couldn't speak. He felt as if the world had turned upside down. Maria looked at them, her eyes filled with concern. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. Emma felt tears fill her eyes. She looked at Jack, hoping he would say something comforting. But instead, he turned away. For the first time, Emma saw the fear in his eyes. He didn't want to face the truth. The next few days were filled with visits from doctors and discussions about what to do next. The doctors explained that Lucy would need special care and constant attention. Emma and Jack tried to be brave, but deep down, they were both scared. What kind of life could Lucy have? Could they handle the responsibility of caring for her? One evening, as Emma sat alone in the hospital room, she heard a knock on the door. Jack walked in, looking troubled. He sat down beside her. "Emma," he said softly, "I think we should let her go. I don't think we can handle this." Emma's heart sank. "What do you mean?" she whispered. "We've always wanted a perfect life. A perfect family. But this isn't what we signed up for," Jack said, his voice shaking. Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. She had always imagined raising a child with Jack, no matter what challenges came their way. But now, he was talking about giving up on their baby. "We could find someone to take her," Jack suggested. "Someone who can handle the responsibility." Tears rolled down Emma's cheeks. She looked at Lucy, who was peacefully sleeping in her crib. This was their daughter. How could they just give up on her? The days passed, and the tension between Emma and Jack grew. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that Jack was pulling away from her and the baby. He didn't visit as often, and when he did, he seemed distant. Emma was torn between her love for Lucy and the growing distance between her and Jack. Finally, one night, Jack made his decision. He told Emma that he couldn't be a part of Lucy's life anymore. He left the hospital, and Emma was left alone, heartbroken and confused. The next morning, Maria came to visit Emma. She had heard the news and was devastated. "You don't have to do this, Emma," she said gently. "You don't have to be alone." But Emma knew what she had to do. She couldn't let Jack's fear control her. She couldn't abandon her daughter. Despite everything, she loved Lucy more than anything. Weeks passed, and Emma tried her best to care for Lucy. But it wasn't easy. The stress of being a single mother, combined with the challenges of Lucy's condition, took a toll on Emma. She was exhausted, both physically and emotionally. But she kept going. For Lucy. Meanwhile, Jack's life moved on. He started a new relationship and pretended that he had never had a daughter. He pushed the memories of Emma and Lucy out of his mind, focusing only on his own happiness. But deep down, he knew something was missing. Emma, on the other hand, never gave up. She found support in Maria, who visited often and helped whenever she could. Maria had become like a second mother to Lucy. Together, they made a family, even if it was different from what Emma had once imagined. One day, Emma received a letter. It was from Jack. He wrote that he had been thinking about their daughter and wanted to see her. Emma didn't know what to feel. She had built a life without him, and the idea of letting him back in felt like a betrayal to herself and Lucy. But she knew that Lucy deserved to know her father. Emma and Jack agreed to meet at a park. When Jack saw Lucy for the first time in months, his heart broke. She was still the same beautiful baby, despite the challenges she faced. He took a deep breath and walked over to Emma, who was holding Lucy. "She's beautiful," Jack said quietly. "I'm sorry, Emma. I was scared." Emma looked at him with tears in her eyes. "You left us, Jack. You abandoned us." "I know," Jack whispered. "And I regret it every day. But I want to be a part of our life now. If you'll let me." Emma thought for a moment. She had been hurt deeply by Jack's actions, but she also knew that Lucy deserved the chance to have both of her parents in her life. "I'll let you try," she said softly. "But you have to prove it to me. You have to prove that you won't leave again." Jack nodded, understanding. "I will. I promise." It wasn't easy, and there were many more difficult moments ahead. But Emma and Jack slowly began to rebuild their family. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And for Lucy, that was enough. The baby who had been abandoned became the symbol of strength and love. Emma and Jack learned that even when things seemed broken, they could still find a way to fix them. And together, they built a new future for their daughter. Emma and Jack's reunion was fragile, like a delicate flower in a storm. The road ahead was uncertain, and though Jack promised to stay, Emma couldn't let go of the fear that he might leave again. She decided to let him prove himself, little by little. Jack started visiting more often. At first, he would come by once a week, bringing small gifts for Lucy. Sometimes it was a soft toy, other times, it was colorful books. Lucy, though still too young to understand, seemed to warm up to him. She would coo and giggle when he made silly faces, and Jack's heart softened with every sound. But Emma remained guarded. Every time Jack left, she braced herself for the possibility that he wouldn't come back. Maria, always the voice of reason, encouraged Emma to give him a chance. "You can't hold on to the past forever," Maria said one evening as they sat in Emma's living room. Lucy was asleep in her crib, and the soft hum of the baby monitor filled the room. "If he's trying, maybe it's because he's changed." Emma sighed. "I want to believe that, Maria. But it's hard. He left when we needed him the most." Maria nodded, understanding. "People make mistakes, Emma. Big ones. But sometimes, they can learn from them. It's up to you to decide if he deserves that chance." Emma thought about Maria's words. She didn't want to shut Jack out forever, but she also didn't want to risk Lucy getting hurt. For now, she decided to take things one day at a time. One day, Jack surprised Emma with an idea. "I want to take Lucy to the park," he said, his eyes filled with determination. "Just the two of us?" Emma hesitated. She had never let Jack take Lucy anywhere alone. The thought of it made her stomach churn. Why? She asked cautiously. Because I want to be a real father to her, Jack replied. I need to bond with her, Emma. Please trust me. Emma's heart was torn. Part of her wanted to say no, to keep Lucy close and protected. But another part of her knew that this was a chance for Jack to prove himself. After a long pause, she nodded. Okay, she said quietly. But if anything goes wrong, you'll never get another chance. Jack promised to be careful. The next morning, he picked Lucy up and carried her to the park. Emma watched them from the window, her heart pounding with worry. She wanted to follow them, to make sure everything was okay, but she forced herself to stay. At the park, Jack felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He laid a blanket on the grass and set Lucy down with her favorite toys. Other parents and children surrounded them, but Jack only had eyes for his daughter. He watched as Lucy tried to grab a small, colorful ball, her tiny hands reaching with determination. That's it, Lucy, he said, clapping his hands. Lucy giggled, her face lighting up with joy. For the first time, Jack felt like a father. He realized how much he had missed by staying away. When Jack brought Lucy back home, Emma was waiting anxiously at the door. How was it? She asked, trying to sound calm. It was amazing, Jack said, smiling. She's incredible, Emma. Thank you for letting me take her. Emma saw something different in Jack's eyes, a genuine love for their daughter. It gave her a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Jack was ready to be the father Lucy needed. Over the next few weeks, Jack continued to prove himself. He attended Lucy's doctor appointments, learned how to care for her special needs, and even started helping Emma with household chores. Slowly but surely, Emma began to let her guard down. One evening, as they sat together after putting Lucy to bed, Emma spoke softly. Jack, do you really think you're ready for this? For us? Jack looked at her with a seriousness she hadn't seen before. I wasn't ready before, he admitted. I was scared. But now, I know that Lucy is worth it. You're worth it. I want to make things right. Emma felt tears welling up in her eyes. She wanted to believe him, to trust that he had truly changed. I hope you mean that, she said. Because Lucy deserves a father who won't let her down. I won't, Jack promised. Not again. The days turned into months, and their little family began to heal. Emma and Jack still had their moments of tension, but they were learning to work together. Maria remained a constant source of support, reminding them that love was about forgiveness and resilience. Lucy, despite her challenges, continued to grow and thrive. Her laughter filled the house, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there was light. Emma and Jack knew that their journey was far from over. But for the first time, they believed that they could face it together. As the months passed, Emma, Jack, and Lucy began to settle into a new rhythm. The tension that once defined their lives started to dissolve, replaced by moments of connection and joy. Lucy's milestones, small as they might have seemed to others, became monumental achievements for their family. Jack had thrown himself into being a father. He attended therapy sessions to address his fears and insecurities, and he joined parenting groups to learn how to care for a child with special needs. Slowly, Emma began to see a side of Jack she hadn't known before, a man who was willing to work tirelessly for his family. One chilly autumn morning, Jack surprised Emma with an invitation. I want us to go on a trip, he said, holding out a brochure for a small cabin by the lake. Just the three of us. A fresh start. Emma hesitated. The idea of leaving the comfort of their routine made her nervous, but Jack's honest expression softened her resolve. Okay, she said, a small smile tugging at her lips. Let's do it. The trip to the lake turned out to be a turning point for their family. The cabin was cozy, nestled in a grove of golden leaf trees. Lucy loved the outdoors, squealing with delight as Jack guided her tiny hands to touch the cool water. Emma found herself laughing more, her heart lightening as she watched Jack and Lucy bond. One evening, as the sun set over the lake, Jack turned to Emma. "I know I can never erase the pain I caused," he said, his voice steady. "But I promise to spend the rest of my life making it up to you and Lucy." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "You already have, Jack," she whispered. "You're here. That's all I ever wanted." They sat in silence, watching the sun dip below the horizon. For the first time, Emma felt a sense of peace. The shadows of the past no longer loomed as large, and she allowed herself to hope for the future. Back home, their life continued to improve. Jack proposed the idea of starting a charity to help other families navigating the challenges of raising children with special needs. "We've been through so much," he explained to Emma one night. "Maybe we can use our experience to help others." Emma loved the idea. Together, they launched a small nonprofit, hosting workshops and providing resources for parents. The work gave their pain a purpose and brought them closer as a family. Years later, as Lucy grew into a curious and resilient little girl, Emma and Jack looked back on their journey with gratitude. It hadn't been easy, but they had faced their struggles together. Their family, once fractured, was now whole. On Lucy's 5th birthday, they threw a small party in their backyard. Maria came, along with a handful of neighbors and friends they had met through their charity walk. Lucy's laughter rang out as Jack carried her on his shoulders, and Emma couldn't help but smile as she watched them. That night, as they tucked Lucy into bed, Jack turned to Emma. "We've come so far," he said, his voice filled with wonder. Emma nodded, her heart full. "And we'll keep going," she replied. "Together." For the first time in years, Emma didn't worry about what the future might hold. Their journey had taught her that love, though messy and imperfect, could heal even the deepest wounds. And as she fell asleep beside Jack, she knew their family would face whatever came next, stronger than ever.